yo creo que el fútbol volverá a lo que ha sido el fútbol cuando se encuentre la vacuna. Tardaremos después a lo mejor un año más, pero volverá a lo que ha sido y lo que hay con la gente en los estadios, estadios llenos, la pasión del fútbol, retransmisión audiovisual lo mismo, los valores económicos volverán a estar pues en lo que ha venido estando. No va a cambiar mucho. Lo que cambiará de lo que estamos ahora, pero volveremos a lo que hemos sido antes, no tengo la menor duda, y no va a haber una retroacción económica dentro de 3 años. Yo estoy convencido que dentro de 3 temporadas, incluso un poco menos, en mi opinión, vamos a estar en una situación como la que veníamos estando, siempre y cuando pues haya una vacuna y eso pues ayude también a la conciencia, que se puede ir a los estadios con tranquilidad, a los espectáculos deportivos. Pues esto no va a cambiar. Los clubes están siendo muy prudentes en su ámbito de gestión. Yo creo que todavía no ha terminado la temporada y vamos a ver lo que hay. Habrá algunos movimientos, pero serán de los que económicamente pueda hacer el club, desde luego, pero no vamos a ver fichajes grandes en dinero, no los vamos a ver. Superiores de 100 millones imposible, y superiores de 50 los vamos a contar con los dedos de tus manos y las mías. Pongo 20, no pongo más. No se va a ver afectado el valor audiovisual de forma inmediata, aunque todo el mundo está, hay que bajar los fees de lo que se está cobrando, pero en mi opinión el sector audiovisual en sí, el sector del ocio y entretenimiento en televisión, es uno de los sectores que ha salido reforzado en esta crisis. Sobre todo si nos vamos a Netflix, HBO, estas compañías han subido muchísimo de abonados, de suscriptores, ¿no? Lo que se puede afectar es el dinero que tienen en el bolsillo los que compran, ¿no? Y eso sí, pero en general el sector yo no veo que vaya a tener una gran afección que nos pueda afectar a nosotros en algún país, en algún tema puntual. En Europa sé que ha habido un debate importante, que hemos participado con el control económico de la UEFA, donde algunos grandes clubes querían ser más laxos y nosotros y la Bundesliga hemos mantenido que no se puede ser más laxos, es todo lo contrario. Todavía se tiene que ser algo más riguroso para que no se produzca ninguna diferencia importante entre los ingresos que generas, que han disminuido como causa del COVID, y los gastos, sobre todo salariales y otros, que tienes en el club, ¿no? Vamos a ver, esta liga lo que nos ha enseñado, y sobre todo a UEFA y a las ligas nacionales fuertes, que juntos, colectivamente, organizamos el calendario, juntos lo hemos hecho para intentar que los derechos audiovisuales no pierdan valor, y nos hemos dado cuenta que juntos se hacen mucho mejor las cosas. Que la UEFA no tiene que poner un lado con los grandes clubes por un lado, y eso creo que ha hecho que los proyectos de las grandes ligas, esto les haya debilitado bastante. Porque a muchos clubes se han dado cuenta que su mercado nacional era muy importante mantenerlo y salvarlo en estas situaciones. Y que es muy importante que el mercado nacional se mantenga, porque si no, se vienen hacia abajo. Y que una liga europea no les garantiza lo que se cae del mercado nacional, ¿no? Yo creo que... Pero bueno, el riesgo siempre va a existir, porque siempre hay gente que piensa que hace los números ahí en la barra y multiplica, resta, sube, pero luego cuando hay que ir de verdad con algunos, luego ya se van asustando más, ¿no?
Y el Barça, que anda muy revuelto, ¿le hace más ilusión que vuelva Xavi al banquillo o Neymar al campo?
Que siga Messi en el Barça.
Es lo que más contento le dejaría.
We need to do more as women, and we need to create a movement for that, So, but I think it's just the natural development of the business. So I think, as I said, it has changed with so many new innovative areas which women are very good at, which I think is going to come very natural, and I'm very positive and very optimistic about that.
When I look back, I guess the most important learnings from that is I didn't have a good support mechanism. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a personal board of directors. I didn't have anyone to go to. I was all alone. In any case, as a female, 10 years ago, you are one of the very, very few in the world anyways. It's so difficult to survive. Everybody is trying to crush you in a way. And unless you have support mechanisms, it's very difficult to survive in that kind of an environment. But also equally important is having the self-awareness in your leadership journey. What's important is this period also made all football stakeholders realize how, besides men's football, everything else was slightly behind, in this huge of growth in the last 2 decades. It was all about men's football and the top leagues, but the bulk of the pyramid is actually below that. The impetus of the sponsors hopefully will continue and grow exponentially because the commercial potential and the growth potential of women's football is tremendous.
One of the lessons of COVID-19 is that more women's leadership positions are needed to help deal with a crisis situation. If you look at the countries with some of the best COVID-19 responses, are countries led by women. If you look at Germany with Angela Merkel, but also New Zealand, Finland, Iceland. So these countries are countries that have stood out for their prompt, efficient, and effective response to the crisis.
Everything that has happened around COVID has accelerated everything that we're doing. The move towards digital has accelerated. This is a pressure cooker. This is a petri dish. This is an escalation of everything that we've seen. There may be some new stuff that comes out of it, which we can discuss. But I think this accelerates every trend, good and bad, that you saw before. In my view, and I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for this, I'm sure, there are too many football clubs. There are too many football clubs. They have to be consolidated. Players are probably over remunerated. They will have to be remunerated in different ways. The leagues are going to have to be run more efficiently and professionally because the competition is going to be huge. The rights holders have to think very carefully about it. Because they've always operated, at least in their own minds, with the long-term view. Private equity naturally, and this is not a criticism, it's a fact. Whether they agree with it or not, their view tends to be a 5-term view. A 5-year view. It is not the long-term view. So there is the potential for a sort of conflict in views. The rights holders have tended to go long, as I would call it, with their rights. You know, you might get the Olympics going out, I think it's to 2032 with NBC. And it may now be more important for the rights holder to segment the rights, that they decide, for example, to give to sell the analog rights to one group of competitors, to sell the digital rights to others. For those people that can't attend a live event, what COVID has done is amplify it. I mean, if you look, for example, in the music industry, what has happened on the Fortnite platform with music. It's huge. So using those types of technologies, you know, which democratize what we have. So there's some complex decisions to be made.
The first one is that what seems impossible is possible. Everything can change overnight. I think that is the first lesson. The second is our ability to overcome difficulties. We've been able to come back. And I think we should be very proud about that. And the third one is that we have to be united. When we are united, we'll win. I think these are the 3 lessons, in my view, of this terrible period.
2020, it's going to be tough for every single club in the world. At the same time, I think the market, it's going to adjust. I can say that some players that we were discussing before the pandemic, clubs are coming back to us with different numbers. I do believe that again, in terms from a club perspective, it's interesting to see how those numbers are going to be. In my opinion, the numbers were very, very, high. and when the moment that from the, and this is like a domino effect, right? From top to bottom, when the thing's going down in all types of levels. I mean, for a club like us, like Orlando City in MLS, in the league that have their size in terms of investment, but as well for a club like Real Madrid that sky is limited, they have more resources. But I feel like the entire business is going to a moment or a process to be adjusted after the pandemic.
It's probably salaries, going down, which is something that we're already experiencing. So probably some 20, 24, 25% in salaries, which could help. I mean, I think in the overall, if we're talking about big players, I think they will keep their value, but definitely in this shorter period of times, they will go down, and we're actually going to see some minor numbers in that department. So I think it will be affected for now.
Speaking from an English football point of view, I think one of the problems, Chad, for some years now is that clubs have been living beyond their means. They've been spending more money than they've been bringing in, and relying on either player sales to get out of trouble at the end of each season, or an uplift in TV or sponsorship income to help that situation. And again, as I said right at the start, I think this perhaps is a wake-up call for all of us to manage our businesses as prudently or more prudently than we have in the past. And we're all guilty at some point of just stretching that little bit too far for the next level that we want to try and get to. And sometimes we do that too quickly without the security of the income behind it. And unfortunately now we're beginning to see the effects of this crisis from a financial point of view. As Emilio said earlier, this isn't just a football problem. This is a problem for the whole world and for each country and their own economies. And unfortunately, football is a part of that. And as other businesses and other industries are failing, we're going to see some football industry businesses failing as well. And unfortunately, that does have a material effect, as I say, on communities. So, I hope that we won't see too many, but unfortunately, I think it's inevitable that we will see some.